2023 board and committee appointments. Only change from this is Dan did state he did not want to be the transportation representative, so I understand James already attends those meetings either in person or virtually, so I propose that James be the transportation representative.
We're going to discuss this.
Yeah, I'd like to
Sure.
discuss this in executive session.
Does it qualify for an executive session?
It does.
Okay. Then we'll go into executive session.
Can we delay that to the end of the meeting for purposes of, I guess?
Sure. We'll apparently hold this off till executive session. We'll do that. We've already got one scheduled for the end anyway, so we'll do it as part of that. Which is interesting because we've never done board appointments in executive session, so.
Are you seeking legal advice about that, or want to discuss it under the personnel exception?
Personnel.
That would be okay.
Okay. We'll move to item number 13, which is to consider approval authorizing the city manager with city attorney approval to enter into detention facilities and encroachment agreements with Castleberry ISD regarding the planned improvements to the Castleberry ball fields on Meandering. Mark?
Okay, what it suggested I do is get a draft agreement over to them on the ball fields that we need for the encroachment. That way, if anything happens to our water drainage line under there, that we can go in and fix it, and they're responsible to put the turf and all that back. Also, the detention pond that they're going to do, that gives us the agreement that they'll maintain it. Now, these are just drafts. They're going to go to the school. School's going to send it to their attorney. Our attorney's going to look at it, and once it's all approved, then I'm just asking for the authorization for time saving to go on and be able to sign it and go forward, because they're moving on with that project. Unless anybody has an objection, we bring it back each time. It don't matter. Just kind of saves time, but it's going to have all the attorney's approvals on it before ever I can do that.
Is all that agreement going to comply with this?
Yeah.
Yes, sir, it will.
Yeah, that's what he said, the retaining pond.
Okay.
As a matter of fact, the engineer sent these forms to me, but he wouldn't help me with drafting them, so I drafted them.
We have water lines underneath the ball field?
Yeah.
Wow.
Do you need me to talk about any of that?
Can if you want to.
Yeah.
Might happen to know.
Becky Thomas, I'm Jay Thomas Engineering again. The plant that they have, there's an existing, I think it's 36-inch. It comes off of Baylor and drains right down through the baseball field currently, and then goes down the Meandering Way. The school district is going to come in and they're going to put in an artificial turf field like everybody's doing nowadays, which increases playability and durability of the surface and opens it up to a lot more, especially when it's raining, whatever. The problem is it's no longer grass, and so you've got an artificial turf that's underlaid by, 6-8 inches of highly expensive base stone with a drainage system in it, and then underlaid by a big plastic sheet. Keep subgrade moisture stabilized. So, as you can imagine, those things are quite expensive. So, the fact that the city's public utility is going underneath it is okay. They're not going to be bothering it, but when the city has to maintain this facility, someone's going to have to be responsible for replacing the turf when they cut it, because you're not going to go out there and just cut it and go backfill it with dirt. I mean, they're going to want it to go back in. The maintenance facility agreement is such that the school district says, hey, we understand there's a public utility underneath there. We clearly identified, here's the limit, there's an easement associated with it. If the city has to come in here and maintain this, they're not responsible for replacing all that high-dollar turf and stuff out there. So it gives the city some leverage when they have to maintain it or do something. Because the other option was basically, when we talked to the school district on, was relocating the storm sewer out from underneath that facility. And they weren't interested in doing that. And so the maintenance agreement kind of helps protect the city in that instance. Similar situation with the water line over on the softball field. There's a 6-inch water line that runs north-south over on the left field side of the softball field. Again, it's a turf, that's a natural grass field right now, so you can go out there and cut it open, no big deal, backfill it, and they can come throw some sod on it, which is a cheap fix. Similar situation, you know, water line leak, something like that, they're gonna call the city out there to fix it, and of course, you know, they're gonna have to go right through that turf to get into it. So it's just a protection mechanism for the city to not have to be able to replace all that stuff. So it's something that we recommended to Marvin to implement on these projects, so that way as we move forward, it kind of reduces city's liability.
Yeah, that would be, I went to the place that had a water line going under their garage, and they said, if you buy this, and we gotta do something and tear the building down, it's your problem. It's not ours.
Yeah, and Castleberry, we did the W.O. Barnes Stadium design, and it's got almost a 24 or 36-inch water line, the city of Fort Worth that runs, I mean, right through goalposts on that thing. And they had to go through a maintenance facility on that thing's like 20-something feet deep. It's a raw water line from Fort Worth, from Lake Worth. So it's not something that Castleberry's unfamiliar with, so.
You say that was 20-something feet deep at this ball
W.O. Barnes? Yeah, I think it's 24 feet deep on one end of it.
So how old is it, hopefully?
It's 1920s water line design. Yes, sir.
Wow.
Marvin put it in.
That won't be good if that busts.
We had a vacuum pothole that we didn't think we were ever gonna find it, but the city insisted it was there. They finally got there.
And it's still in use, right?
Yes, sir, they still take raw water out of it. That's what we drink, so. That was raw water. That's a raw water line. Well, you know, they should have made a trick, yeah. I mean, that's what everybody, so it's still in use. It's still a used line.
Thank you for explaining that.
Do we need that action tonight, Marvin?
If you want to authorize me to do that, yes, sir.
Okay. Do I hear a motion?
Make a motion to approve for the city manager to work with the city attorney to get approval for entering into a detention facilities encroachment agreement with Castleberry ISD regarding the planned improvements to the Castleberry baseball fields on Meandering Road.
Second.
We have a motion and a second to approve the city manager with the city attorney approval to enter into the detention facilities and encroachment agreements with Castleberry ISD. I believe Councilmember Turner has refused since she works for the ISD, so is there any further discussion? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
None opposed, motion carries. We're going to go ahead and double back to number 12, because I don't see a reason to do that in an executive session, so if there's something to say about it, we're going to go back to approval of consider approval of mayor's recommendations for the 2022-23 board and committee appointments.
I'm not sure if it's the chair's prerogative to demand something be done in public. Would you advise this, Ms. Attorney?
It's the mayor's meeting. I mean, I gave my opinion that you can seek legal advice in executive session about that item, and it's also my opinion that we could discuss it in executive session if you wanted to, but it's the mayor's meeting.
We've never done it before.
What would be the legal advice? It's
Well,
not
that's
legal
okay,
advice,
if
it's
he's
personal.
asking for legal advice, I'd be happy to
Okay.
discuss that, answer questions in executive session about it.
Okay.
Well, I think if someone has requested it, Joe, honestly, out of respect, there's something that needs to be discussed that may not want to be discussed in public, so maybe we should go ahead and do it in executive session, especially if we already have one there. That's coming.
Fair enough. Move to item number 14, discussion and/or action on staff presentation regarding City Hall administration and Public Works employee recruitment and retainage efforts involving compressed work schedules, salary studies, one-time inflation retainage agreement, sign-on bonus, and all pay.
Before you get started, I'd like to say I've challenged them to come up with different ways to not really so much as to save money, but to retain employees. And so they've asked to present this. They've done a lot of studying on it, and I was off with my son's situation, so I've told them that I'm fine with them presenting it, so.